Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 30. Whoa, episode 30 of Patch Notes, the Home Games podcast. I'm Yazid, and this is Joseph.
I'm Joseph, and this is episode 30. Today is May 17th, 2020.
How does it feel to get to episode 30?
Of Patch Notes.
The Home Games podcast.
I don't know. It's cool. It's actually 31. We always do this. Every time we mention the number, I'm always the guy who's like, actually, starting at 0.
We started at 0 and then counted up to 30. It's 31. That's fine. I mean, legitimately, we are at 31, so last episode was 30, but it is, I don't know if I count episode 0. There's so many things changed from episode 0.
But I mean, if you take that logic, everything's changed since like episode 10 as well.
Yeah.
So
okay, fair
kind
enough.
of just like you start it when you start it, you know?
Okay, I agree. But at any rate, episode 30, the big 30, older than you and me.
Yeah.
Ready to hop into home game stuff?
Yeah, sure. Home game stuff. Let me bring up my notes. So I haven't really looked at them. Home game stuff.
Right. Did you want to start first?
Oh God, not really. No.
Okay.
You can go.
So, remember last week where you said you didn't want to do an integration with Twitter, and I said, but there's so many cool games you can make. But I also said, go ahead.
Just to clarify, I didn't want it's that I didn't want integration with anybody because I don't want anybody's code running if it's not something that I wrote.
Right.
But that's a stupid thing. But
All right.
Anyway, go ahead.
So, I'm irresponsible as heck because I had a lot of stuff I was supposed to do, like, I don't know, write unit tests for everything and update the package and also update the current thing to use the new package. I didn't do any of that. Instead, what I did was that I wrote a way for us to integrate with Twitter. So,
This is exciting.
I know, I'm a big idiot person, but I don't use any packages besides the built-in Node.js HTTPS module. So, I mean, that's all good. Really what it comes down to is like, so Twitter has a couple different options. One of them is a free search tweets API. You just have to have like a developer key, and in order to get that, you just fill out a little form, and you're like, I'm doing this for hobby reasons because I'm not selling this product, so it's not an enterprise level product. So
Right.
I gave myself like a key, and that's what I'm using right now. But in theory, in the future, what we could do is two options. One, we could have other people put in their key information, because that's really all I need in order to send that to get their bearer token to then use that in the application. So maybe just like a prompt at the beginning, like, yo, what's your consumer API key and what's your consumer API secret? Don't worry, we won't save this anywhere. And then they can hit Twitter to get their token, and then from a list of users, we could get their most recent tweet. I think I get 100 of their tweets posted in the last 7 days, and that's free. So $0 cost. So anyone could make their own version of that. Or if we wanted to go further back, like say 30 days, maybe Home Games itself would need to have a paid service, or they would have to have a paid service, and then they could authorize through that. But either way, right now what I have it doing is it uses my information, authorizes, so it gets the Twitter's OAuth token back, and then uses that to hit their search API to get the 100 most recent tweets from @Hossif. So, although you don't have very many tweets in the last 7 days, you have exactly one. So, you know.
I don't tweet as often as I used to.
No.
I actually deleted my whole old Twitter account. But anyway, whatever.
I know. So that was the thing, is I thought you'd have a lot more, and then I was very confused, and then I went to go back to look at your actual Twitter account, and I was like, this man did not tweet enough for me to see a lot of options. But anyway, so I think I'm going to go ahead and make the Who Tweeted That game, because I'm already this deep. So
just to confirm, when you say putting in the API key, does that mean that someone like goes to Home Games and then pastes in something and then whatever, or like the code, like part of the build, takes that key and then uses it?
My thought was just I would have like a prompt when you start the game that's like, hey, this game requires integration with Twitter. Please use the developer key provided for you. And then you can put in your key information, because I mean, we won't store it. We just pass that along to get the token. Because once we have the token, that's really all I care about.
Is it at all possible to do that? Like, is it possible for us to have something like Pico de Gallo, where, excuse me, where someone just kind of joins and it's using our API key and all that kind of stuff by default, and then if someone wants to run it themselves with their own stuff, they like configure it locally?
Yeah, so here's the thing, is that so there's a couple of things with this. So one, I don't know if we should be giving out our API key like that, because that is like our private key.
Not giving out our API key, but like
having,
if on Pico de Gallo, basically the config on Pico de Gallo is pulling our thing from some like secure file directory, whatever,
mm-hmm.
locally.
Oh yeah, we can do that. Because I mean, it's the only thing. There's a couple of things with it. So the number one thing in there is that there is a rate limit on how many times we can hit it. And I think it's like 150 in 15 minutes or something like that. And there's no way we're gonna hit that limit. Like just from regular usage, I think the only way we would hit that limit is if somebody was like specifically trying to spam it. But yeah,
like 150 requests.
Yeah.
To any API?
To this API. I think it's to any API, but this API in particular, because right now I don't expose like any other pathway. It's just like done to hit the service and come back. So yeah. So we could use like a secrets file, like a secrets env file, like anyway, you know what I mean, to like use the like my credentials or like home games credentials, whichever one we choose to use. Yeah, I mean it wouldn't cost us anything, and it's kind of neat. But yeah, and then
but no, if you
sorry,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say like, and then really all we need is for the game to work. Really, all I would need is for like, I need their two public key, their key and their secret. Sorry, those two things so that we can get their bearer token, and then we need a list of users from like Twitter. So like basically they would provide like, as each player connects, I'd prompt them and say like, what's your username? And then from there, we would do it that way.
Okay, so just to kind of confirm, I guess, if it's something like Pico de Gallo, where it's a hosted version by us as like an official thing,
mm-hmm.
then this stuff is stored on disk somewhere, and it's kind of pulled while the thing is running. If someone wants to access a Twitter-related thing, it's like, okay, well, we're going to check this file and for a secret and for a key or whatever when you run it. And so someone like taking it and pulling it and running it at home, until they configure that, the Twitter functionality just won't work for them. But there's no actual new dependency. There's no whatever. It's just set up your API integration and point home games to it.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds perfect.
Yeah, I mean, like it's super simple and like in terms of how we hit it right now. And I mean, that's the other thing is like, if we ever wanted to expand it out and provide like a pull more than just the last 7 days, like say last 30 days, we could do that too. And it would just cost us some money because that's a premium version of the API that we'd be using.
I think this will probably be a thing, way in the future, at least maybe next year at the earliest, but at least starting to define like in code somehow that something is like part of a premium feature set or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because anything that costs us money, I think like we talked about last week, we have to basically have some sort of inventory of everything that could cost us money and then gate it away from a free version so people aren't just running up costs on us and whatever without us being paid for it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the other thing too is like somebody else could pay for their own or like if they already have one, because I imagine some developers already have like a premium version of the Twitter API. And so they could probably just switch out the call on like a branch or a fork or something and do it that way.
Yeah, I guess if someone wants to go, because that would be something like you said, modifying code, because it would be kind of like taking our premium feature set and then whitelisting one particular thing or some particular thing for them,
mm-hmm.
and that sounds weird. So that would just be modifying code, I think, which if someone has a premium whatever of Twitter and doesn't want to pay us, then they can probably figure out how to do that.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like the coolest part, what actually the the part that really frustrated me was that Twitter only gives their stuff in curl requests, and then I had to figure out how to convert it, and then I'm an idiot, so I didn't actually do a good job of converting it. So instead, I got Postman, and I got Postman to convert it for me because it'll literally write the native Node.js code for you, which I mean was perfect for me because I could not for the life of me figure out in what format I was supposed to stick the goddamn authentication, like the authorization stuff, to get the OAuth token anyway. I mean, getting the tweets was super easy at that point because I mean, once you have the token, it's just like you pass in like a bare authorization thing. But I had no idea how they wanted the other stuff. But yeah, so I got that to work. It's like right now it pulls back your one tweet and tells me whatever information I want from it, which is kind of cool. I was thinking about trying it with somebody with way more tweets, but I'm like the only people I follow with a lot of tweets are like the ESPN account and like that might be it actually.
You could do Elon Musk. He tweets often.
I don't know if I follow Elon Musk. I will use his maybe, or ESPN, or just like some random company that just posts like a ton of stuff.
If you want like a bunch of garbage, just do any Complex account at Complex News. They have like someone will tweet a celebrity or whatever, or anything will happen, or someone will think about something happening, or someone will make something up, and then Complex will take that information and tweet it through like 12 different networks or whatever, and they're all the same info, and it's totally trash. So if you just want just anything Complex.
Yeah, I mean the other thing is like I need to figure out how would we do images. So like say somebody retweeted a picture or like tweeted a picture, how would we do that? And like or like a video, how would we do that?
If there's an ID, we can't do video, but if there's an ID on a photo, you can store it as a new asset. I don't think it's in master currently. I'll talk later about the unreasonable amount of changes that I have, but you could basically dynamically set something like create an asset and say, okay, well, this tweet references this image, so I'm gonna find the path to this image, get the image and store it locally, and then reference it with this asset, and it would just be a new image.
Okay, I mean, yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. Video, that's a whole other question. I don't even know. I can't think of a time I've seen a video playing in a canvas, but I'm sure it's in some way possible.
Yeah, I mean, we'd have to figure that out maybe, but I mean, for right now, I could just I think there is like clean text. I don't actually know. I'll have to figure it out, but at least for the time being, I get the tweets, and how we display them is up to us. Because the way I wanted to structure the game was basically just like it picks a random user, then it pulls in 100 tweets or up to 100 tweets from the last 7 days right now, picks a random tweet from that list, displays it, and then asks you like who tweeted this, and then it's just a bunch of buttons with everybody's user like player name in there. And then you just click the button, and then it tells you at the end who it was actually from.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I think that would be like a pretty simple game, but I think it would be fun. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and just getting the thing working, that'd be... That's a good start, I guess, for integrations.
Yeah, another thing, too, is like, I think it's like this is maybe an intermediate step between this game and then Fastest Typer in the West, because I'm going to require some typing. So I'll need to handle like key down, key up kind of cleanly. And then how I handle it here would go into the implementation of that. And then as I'm doing the implementation on that, maybe we build a library or something out of it, like handling typing well. And then we could use it anywhere we need to type.
I think the start of what that library could be or depend on or something, I have one common util thing called an expiring set, which is just, it's basically for cooldowns. So like we've talked about multiple times on here, but if you press just down on the key, chances are you're going to get way too much input for what you're trying to do. So an expiring set allows you to basically just say, keep this thing in this set, and then it'll expire after this many milliseconds, kind of like a set timeout, whatever thing. So
is that in master?
Yeah.
Why do we not use that anywhere?
We do. It's just one place. Look it up. grep expiring set in or however you search source files. But there's
I've never seen that. I've seen what's used as like an object in the file called this.keydowns, and then we attach a player ID to it, and the player ID attaches further the key that was pressed, and then there's like a set timeout that's attached to it.
Yeah, because I have a few places where I do that thing, but I don't use the same library in all places. I use the library in one place.
Okay.
I think the code is more of a dumpster fire than you think it is.
It sounds like it. I thought that we didn't have one because I didn't see anything using that. But now that I know that it's there, maybe I'll switch Square to use it as well. Even though at this point I've said I'm going to switch the collision for Square and a bunch of other stuff for Square and just do a bunch of other like just cleanup that I'm like, you know what? That's boring stuff. Twitter integration, that's the fun stuff. So, you know.
It's something. It's still cool, you know? I guess the whole point of this is that we're just doing something cool.
Yeah. I mean, I also think it'd be pretty fun. I think, like, it's... Like, Square is a good party game, but I think that, like, Who Tweeted That is probably, like, the best party game we have. Because almost everyone in our friends group uses Twitter or has a Twitter account.
Yeah. I don't think I know anybody in our immediate circle who does not have a Twitter account.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I know people who don't tweet very often. I'm one of them, but
yeah, it's true. You should tweet more.
I don't know what to tweet.
Yeah. Don't rush it. Your tweets have been grade A, top tier, premium quality so far. So
yeah, it's a paid service to receive my tweets. But yeah, that's all I have for the Twitter integration stuff. It's just it's working more than it was last week. Also, I'm irresponsible and I'm sorry.
Dude, we don't have we're not running anything serious here. There's no deadlines in anything, which is probably why we're so slow for everything. But whatever, you know, side project. Call it a side project, and it could be terrible.
That's right.
Yeah.
Until it becomes our main project, and then it's like, oops.
Yeah, well, we'll fix stuff one day eventually. That's how people do it. You know, you just build broken garbage until someone says, "Oh, I like that," and then you just make that garbage good. And that's it.
Oh my god.
Was that all for your home game stuff?
Yeah, that's all my home game stuff that I had to talk about.
Okay. I will talk more about what I've been doing this week, but basically I only worked on home games for like a few hours this week. It is a total pain to figure out how to draw circles on a canvas or just the arcs and stuff like that, like we talked about before. Yeah, still trying to nail down the whole interface thing of like coordinate to coordinate, arc or line or whatever. Excuse me. So yeah, still going on that. Realized in the process today of just trying to say, hey, I want to make this thing a circle, was actually super hard, because now with all of my like consistent home button stuff and my basically like my home game's root being above the game, my point is there's a bunch of stuff that's being rendered on the screen kind of outside of just the game. If you want to just test one little thing, like how does this render, you can't really easily do that. So realizing that I need to have some sort of this thing of being able to save like a game frame, like a node, squished node, and then just say, hey, canvas, render this, to kind of test, you know, just the game at any kind of point, given some sort of game state, what does that look like? And to test it without any kind of players or game happening or anything like that. So that would probably be the start of like I don't know, like a developer environment testing tool setup thing. Don't know. But that'd be something that's useful. So I have like a busted hacky version of that locally. It's just an if, like I set a Boolean, like is testing, and if it's true, then it renders this entirely other branch of logic, or it does. It's terrible. But yeah, I'm gonna try to flesh that out, I suppose. Another cool thing I think would be like replays. You kind of get built-in replays if you're able to say like, hey, I'm playing this game and, you know, it lasted 5 minutes, but the node server maybe can like store every frame it sends out and then put it into a file or something at the end. and then you can just plug that back into the browser and just say, hey, play this from the beginning, and it'll just go and replay the entire game, basically, as it happened, which is pretty cool. There's probably going to be weirdness with the fact that the browser does have some sort of state, like knowing its own player ID and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that means that you could see it from any player's perspective, which is another kind of cool thing. It's like, hey, this is what the game looked like for all players. This is what it looked like for player 1, player 2, because it would just be looking at the thing. So, like I mentioned earlier, I know that there's way too much in this branch. There's probably at this moment there's probably like 5 or 6 major unfinished features in this branch, and I'm kind of going down this rabbit hole of just adding more and more and more. But I'm stopping at this shape stuff. At this shape stuff, I'm gonna go and then kind of, once I have my testing stuff, and then I'll go back and finish up all of my lines and polygons and clicking and whatever, all this other stuff, and then clean up all the other previous stuff. And this time I will make separate pull requests, because if I were to do them even separate commits, it would be a lot of work and it would be just too big of a pull request. So if I'm doing the work to split up things I've already built, might as well make separate pull requests for separate things. So I'll do that. It's just realistically that won't be done anytime soon. Probably weeks, maybe a month at max, I would guess. I would hope. If it takes me more than a month, then that's embarrassing, but it should be fine. So yeah, basically that's where I'm at. Still trying to figure out circles. I'm at this point of I'm trying to get an ellipse. So instead of a perfect circle, I'm trying to just say like basically a squished, whatever, from here to here and then back to here. And the arc2 method in the browser is like, give me 2 points to be tangential to, and I'm giving it like one up here and one up here, or one down here. And instead of stopping here, it like keeps going, and I don't know how to make it not keep going. It's like the dumbest. Anyway, I can't like describe it, but basically my arcs are the correct tangent points. They have the correct tangents, but they go too far, like after that.
Oh, okay.
Basically, I want it to be tangential to this, and then be tangential to this, but stop on this. But instead, it's like, whoop. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's too big. So anyway, there's probably some weirdness with the fact that I'm mentally like doing circles, just a perfect circle, but it's actually trying to do an ellipse. So I'm messing with my math is wrong somewhere. It's just kind of a head scratcher. So that's why I think that give me a frame and I'll render it is going to be super helpful for me. I started on that like a couple hours ago, but obviously not done yet.
Nice. Kind of to, I have nothing to add for you or help you with the math around being a circle.
Thanks, bud.
But I was going to ask you about adding maybe debugging information to just kind of the general home games core stuff. So like a debug flag to each function maybe, or a debug flag in general to like the game or something like that. So say like a game node could take a debug flag, or the game itself could take a debug flag, and the debug flag would dump out some relevant information into the log, into the wherever they're accepting standard out to.
I guess you could have, I don't know about on a per function basis. I guess everything would have to support that. Like we'd have to add that boolean to everything. But there's also, like, I don't know if this is a thing in console logs, but like in syslog, if you're familiar with syslog, you can set like a log level, and there's a configuration for whatever. So something like a logging.debug just won't be logged if the environment is not configured to allow debug statements. So that the code is always just there, and depending on the config, it either goes or doesn't. So if we can have something like that for a console log or wherever, I guess a larger task here would be have logs. So if someone's like, hey, my thing crashed, and we're like, oh, send us the home games log. We don't have that today. it just logs to the console. There's no file.
Yeah.
So yet another thing we have to do, but yeah, I like the idea.
Yeah, we have to figure out error logging in general too.
We could have one of those things where it's like on an error, it just reports it back to some service that we have. So we have a record of like all errors across home games. But
yeah, I've used a service called Loggly that does that. So if there's an error, it'll log to Loggly, and then you can go into Loggly and it'll like break down like how the error occurred, like what was the call stack and stuff like that. So
So we basically got to build that ourselves, which would be fun to like open source, I think. Because
It'd be interesting to do, I think.
basically, like, I have a service, and just basically pass it some thing that I host, you know, my.whatever.thing.com, and that's where all my logs go, and it's just this thing that these people wrote, and it's all open source. I don't have to pay Logly for it or whatever, you know.
Yeah. I mean, now that we have a way of making it generic, well, it's not generic yet, but I mean, I could probably genericize the HTTP request and then build a utility library around it. A utility library around it. I didn't swear. Just I saw your eyebrows raised. I didn't say the whole word.
I've been swearing on like the past 2 or 3 of these.
I know. I could probably genericize it anyway, and then we could use that to kind of support something like that, where we could have somebody like push to our version of error logging.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just syslog. I guess I'm proposing that we have syslog. Maybe not the best thing to. We'll figure it out. We need something.
Yeah.
But I want to be able to say, oh, in home games, all instances of home games over the past whatever, these errors occurred. Kind of like how not every instance of home games technically, because you can disable it, but everything is always talking to homegames.link.
Mm-hmm.
So if we have something like, oh hey, this thing died, just report the log to homegames.link. But I don't know if we need to do any like consent or whatever. I don't know any like terms of service or anything like that. It's like, hey, we're going to send this off to a server. Are you all right with that? Because you know what I mean?
We could do the old Microsoft send, don't send error message.
We could build a home games troubleshooter, just like the Windows one. It's just a spinner for 5 seconds, and then it just says it couldn't find a. Be pretty easy.
That's funny. Okay, yeah, I mean, I was just curious about that. But the reason I was asking for debugging was, for example, if somebody was trying to test for collisions, it's very difficult to use the core collision and like figuring out like how the heck is it not colliding, like what's causing this thing to not clip together or whatever, and then without looking through the code and then adding logs yourself if you were just calling the function, you know. That was really like what I was thinking about, was the more utility things we add, the more need there will be probably for somebody to see what exactly is going on in that function. Or not exactly, but at least figuring out like where the logical steps were in that function.
Yeah. We need a lot of work on that whole front of logging, debugging, and whatever, but maybe when I'm done with this massive thing, I can start to focus more on that.
Should I add a discussion topic for next week on this?
I don't know about next week. I don't know how much progress I'm going to make on anything, but sure. I mean, we could check in.
Well, I mean, like we could probably just brainstorm some stuff. I don't know about you, but brainstorming the like integration stuff made me want to do the Twitter integration.
Yeah.
But I'll note that down.
Yeah, you were super hyped on the integration stuff last week when I asked you what you thought of the episode. You were like, I really liked the part where we talked about potential for integration.
You know what's funny? At that point, I was already looking at the Twitter developer stuff.
Yeah.
So when you asked me, I was like, I like this stuff. That should have been my sign personally, to be like, you're an idiot and you're not going to do the stuff you're supposed to do.
Yeah. Neither of us are doing what we're supposed to do. Because, like, the stuff that you were supposed to do for this past couple weeks, whatever, is not fun at all. It's like building a new version and updating a dependency. Like, no one wants to do that.
And adding unit tests and making sure those unit tests actually succeed. Right now, they don't. They don't succeed.
Yeah. I don't know anybody who actually enjoys writing unit tests, but whatever.
I don't either.
Yeah. This just means that we're going to have a giant backlog of unfun garbage that we're just going to have like a month of like, hey, welcome back to the Home Games Podcast. Working on garbage again. Nothing interesting to say.
That's going to be awful. Maybe we should maybe schedule that out and be like, one of us is doing fun stuff and the other one is getting their poop pushed in.
one person is suffering
Yeah.
and the other person is having a good time. It feels like
And then we switch.
yeah, that doesn't feel like it builds a healthy. We should win at the same time, you know.
Well, I think what we should do is we should schedule for who's editing. So the person who is editing gets to do the fun stuff, but the person who's not editing gets the garbage jobs. So it
There's
evens
equal
it.
pain. Okay, this is unrelated. Are you done with related stuff?
Yeah, I'm with
Part of what's up, I guess, I would like to ask, how has the editing process changed for you since we stopped editing content?
I mean, it's a lot faster. Like, it's approximately 1/5 of the time that it used to take me to edit. The only downside right now is, and this is the part that kills me, is that taking the shortcut video and then turning that into a .mp4 to upload to YouTube takes 100% of my system resources and also 2.5 hours. So during that time, I'm like, well, I have to do something else. But I also do that late at night. So I'm exhausted and sitting on the couch watching the Great British Bake Off while my computer does that. And I've fallen asleep consistently every time. And I wake up the next morning like, ugh. And that's really my only complaint, because this is actually pretty easy compared to how we used to like nitpick through it all.
Yeah, it was really rough before. Like it had a mental like a toll on me. And I think I told you this before, like off the podcast, but it made me really hate us.
Yeah, you
Like,
did tell me that a couple
the way
of times.
that I speak, the way that you speak, the way that we are, like I hated us. So
No,
I'm really happy that we don't anymore.
it's a lot better. It's just that's my only real complaint. And this last week was pretty rough because your audio didn't work, and then in order to get OBS to do what I needed it to do, I needed to turn it into an MP4 first to get the audio, to then add music and the noise gate and all that stuff. Then put it back in, then do it again, which is like 5 hours of waiting, basically, where I couldn't use my main form of entertainment. So I was just like, what do I do? Honestly, if I was smarter about it, I would start it while I was on a walk with my dog, because I'm gone for like an hour, and when I come back I only have like 30 minutes left. It would be great.
Yeah.
But I'm not so smart.
You could just get like a 2080 Ti and like a whatever the top of the line Ryzen processors or whatever.
Yeah.
And then just blast through it. You know?
I think you'd need like a farm of processors and graphics cards in order to make it actually like hyper efficient.
I don't know what the bottleneck is for Shotcut, but yeah, it takes like I think a little over an hour.
I don't think it is a bottleneck for Shotcut. I think that's just a bottleneck for video processing, because like you're really rendering a lot of data when you do that. It's like 2.5 gigs that it's going over.
Yeah, but I don't know enough about video processing to know like what it's doing or why it takes so long.
Same.
I have no clue.
Are you ready to move on to? I guess we're like in what's up, what's happening, but like
Yeah, this is the home games meta minute. Yeah, what's up?
we're checking in on how our mental health was doing there.
Not that. That's a real conversation topic. We're just talking about editing, you know. And how
That's
it
a real
affects
that
the
used to have
mental
a
health.
real effect on mental health for both of you. Well, for you specifically, but for me to a lesser degree.
Yeah, it was at a point where I listened to myself speak for at least an hour a day, 4 days a week. And it's like, I should stop talking, like forever.
Do you want to start with your stuff, or do you want me to start with mine?
You go ahead and start with yours because I don't have a whole lot.
All right, I want to start with just a story, and then we'll do some of your stuff, and then we'll come back to my stuff. So,
Great.
the other day I went to my local PetSmart, because I go there to buy dog food and just various dog-related stuff. And I went there, and as I was maneuvering through the aisles, I needed to get past this small family, and it was like the mom and her 2 kids. But I have my dog with me, and they didn't have their dog, and they were in the food aisle that I wanted to be in. I had to get past them. When I was trying to get past them, my dog decided, like, this lady smells okay. And so she went to go and say hello to the lady. And the kids were like also right there, and so they were saying hello to the dog as well. And the little boy started telling me a story, and he told me the following story. We have 2 Great Danes, to which I responded, that's really cool. Those are very big dogs. And he said, yeah, they are. One died last week. And I said, I'm so sorry to hear that. And he further explains, it was sick. And I was just like, I gotta get the heck out of here. This kid's like 4. I don't know what to say to him. So
Yeah.
I just ducked, basically.
I think my mind has been altered from you generally calling things sick as like a good thing, both you and your brother. So it was sick. Like I thought this kid was very hyped on the fact that his Great Dane died. But I get it now.
He was so nonchalant about it.
Yeah.
I was like, bruh, it's not a common thing. Like, your dog doesn't die every day.
Could have been like, well, at least you got another one, you know?
No, I think they still have 2. I think they used to have 3. That's what I imagine.
Yeah, well, that's weird. Little kids don't know how to have conversations.
No, and then he saw me later when I was standing in line, and he goes, hi again, and I was like, hello. Like, I don't know. I left you for a reason, kid. I don't know what to say to you.
Yeah.
That's my...
I've been doing it.
Those are my tales from PetSmart. I think I'm going to make that a section if something weird happens.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever had a weird encounter in a PetSmart. Last time I was there, I bought a hamster, and it was like 15 years ago. Hamster died, you know? That's my wild PetSmart story.
You are the little kid from that story.
I guess so, but I wasn't telling people about it. You know, it's like no one cares. I knew that.
I mean, he was like 4 or 5. I don't know what goes through like 4 or 5-year-old kids' heads. I think they're still learning how to like interact with other people. And so he was like, he has a dog, referring to myself. I own dogs. I can tell this person about dog stuff. And I was just like, that's heavy stuff, man. I'm just here to buy dog food. I don't know what to do with this information.
And the mom was just there the whole time, like not...
No, I mean, the mom, like, and my mom and I had, like, a real casual conversation. I was like, sorry, because, you know, you apologize when your dog bumps up against a stranger. And she's like, oh, no, it's okay. We own dogs and chickens, like, we're animal people. And I was like, okay, cool. And I thought that was going to be it. But then the kids decided to pipe up and have a conversation with me, too. And I was just like, oh, boy. I mean, I was fine. I'm fine if kids want to talk to me. But, like, that's a heavy story, man. Especially because, like, I've recently just been very concerned about my dog's health. So that's like, has been weighing heavily on me these last 2 weeks. So it's just like, that's not what I want to hear.
Well, hopefully that kid's doing well, you know?
I mean, he seemed to be totally fine. He has 2 Great Danes. He seemed stoked. He seemed sick.
It was sick.
It was sick, bro.
Nice.
That's my tales from PetSmart.
Well, most of my this week has been unpacking things, cleaning rooms. This room behind me has been recently cleaned. It's actually nice. You can see the floor now. If I wasn't in the way of the floor, you could see it.
It looks nice.
Thank you. I spent hours getting it to this point because there was so much trash. I basically was like, okay, well, I'm trying to not unpack my boxes because I'm not really going to live here very long. So it was like, okay, well, I need my coffee stuff, so I need my electric kettle, and I need my like pour over carafe thing, whatever else. And in the process of looking for that stuff, I ended up taking like half of my things out of my boxes and just kind of organizing stuff. So it's not very fun this past week, but just been going through stuff. And yeah, I have a vinyl collection that is complete now. So I've combined my previous vinyl collection and my vinyl collection that I had in Seattle to now create what is, I would honestly say, an impressive vinyl collection.
How many vinyls are we talking about?
I think you've asked me this question on this very podcast, but I would guess at this point 100 to 150.
Oh my god!
Of just the stuff in this, like the sleeve and whatever. Not the like loose vinyl. I have a Target bag of just loose records right behind me. So everything's a mess outside of the frame of this camera still, but I'm making progress on cleaning up this place.
I was going to actually ask you, is that chair and footrest always been there? Because I feel like it hasn't been.
Well, I mean, when I moved out, my mom put it in this room because I think it just needed to go somewhere. So it's here now.
Was it there last week?
It was, yeah, it's been here since I started recording in
man.
this room.
I only noticed now that it matches the curtains.
Oh, I didn't realize that either. But yeah, you're right, it does. I don't think it was super visible before because I had a different angle on the camera. I have this.
I mean, you were
the
using
thing
like a
for me.
cell phone, like propped up, wouldn't you?
Well, the cell phone for the mic, but then the MacBook for the
That's right.
webcam. This is like a proper webcam now.
Hmm.
Anyway, yeah. So, yeah, cleaning a house not very fun, or cleaning rooms and going through boxes. But my vinyl collection's great. I have some duplicates, which I did not know about until I was going through everything. But overall, very happy with it.
Very nice, man. I'm stoked that you fully moved back to the Dirty Tea.
Yeah, I'm happy I'm in Tucson. I don't feel like I live anywhere because everything I own is still in boxes. Like I have boxes of shoes and clothes and all that kind of stuff. But I set up my Xbox in here so I can watch Workaholics, which is what I've been watching for the past 3 days.
Nice.
But
I have another TV show maybe that you'd be interested in watching.
sure.
It's called Taskmaster.
Okay.
It's on YouTube, and it is the premise of the show is that two comedians give a rotating panel of, I think it's 4 comedians, a task to complete, and they're just supposed to complete it, and it's always something really silly. So it's kind of like Impractical Joke. I've been told it's like Impractical Jokers. I've never seen Impractical Jokers, but it's from the UK. So it's a little bit different sense of humor.
So what's an example of like a ridiculous task?
Okay. They had, I think it was like 2 minutes to eat as much watermelon as possible.
Okay.
And that's their task. And they go into this other room, and there's just a watermelon sitting there, like completely sealed. And you can't leave the room once you enter. So if you didn't think ahead and bring a knife, now you're just stuck here with the watermelon. You have to figure out how to open this watermelon. So yeah, like that kind of stuff.
How would you quickly open a watermelon with no knife, Easy?
So I watched that episode, and I can tell you that there's 3 ways, and one of them is a nightmare.
Okay.
So okay, look, listen, beforehand, like in the lead up to the episode when they were like, you're going to have to eat a watermelon, I was trying to think how you're going to open the watermelon. And the way I thought they actually did, one of the guys walks in, grabs the watermelon immediately, like without any pause, just picks it up and slams it into the floor. And it just explodes. It's just watermelon grenade goes off. And I was like, holy cow, why did it explode like that? And then he explained later, my brain didn't think of yet. He was like, I thought that would be a lot more firm. Like in your head, a watermelon's so like sturdy, but in reality, like a watermelon's really not that sturdy. So when I picked it up and slammed it into the floor, it just exploded. And then he had to eat watermelon off the floor like a savage. Yeah.
I thought that would be my strategy too, but I guess I wouldn't do it with so much force. I would do it just to crack, like an egg, kind of, just kind of like a big, like a thunk. And then at that point, everything on the inside is so kind of mushy, I can just kind of scoop it out. That's how I would get at it.
Yeah, I mean, there is 4 people who do it, and they all do it in a different way. So I highly recommend watching that show. It's on YouTube. It's pretty funny. I like it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll add it to my list because I've seen all of Workaholics already, so don't need to be watching it again. It's just one of those things where I really like how stupid that show is, so I've been watching it. But yeah, I'll add it to my list.
I heard that show's really good, though. I haven't watched it.
I don't know if it's your kind of humor. It's like stoner, stupid. It at times reminds me of like, in a way, it reminds me of New Girl. How there are episodes that are just so ridiculous, you're just like, it's hard to follow at a certain point. Anyway, whatever. I also watched New Rick and Morty. I don't know if you've seen the new couple episodes.
I stopped after season 2.
I don't know. I don't like the new 2 episodes, but whatever. That's a whole separate thing. Been playing a ton of Gears of War. My other thing for what's up is I've been playing a ton of Gears of War 5. I got back into ranked again, and I really love Gears of War 5. I love Gears of War so much. There's like a very large Spanish-speaking community in Gears of War, for whatever reason, especially in ranked play at like, not to brag, but at like higher levels, because I'm ranked, I think, one or two tiers below like the top or whatever. My ranking is Onyx.
Dang.
It's bronze, silver, gold, Onyx, diamond, I think, or something beyond this. Anyway, or the whole thing. But I've been kind of practicing my Spanish skills this past week because people in game chat will talk trash. And it's like, you know, someone earlier today was like, my team is garbage, and they say it in Spanish. And then one guy the other day was like, why are you guys gay? And he asked me that to my entire team. And I was like, ¿por qué tienes 4 y whatever? Like his ratio was 4-6, and I asked him like why he's 4 and 6, and I was like trash talking with someone in Spanish, and it felt so cool. I was like, man, this is like the promise of the internet. You know, this is real beauty. Like we're trash talk is like there's like an art to it because it definitely crosses lines all the time. But at least in my experience this past week, it was actually really fun getting to practice my Spanish while doing very well in Gears of War.
Okay. Let's practice your Spanish right now. All right.
Oh no.
Okay. I'll start. Buenos noches.
You too.
All right. I know very little Spanish. I know buenos dias, buenos noches.
The thing that my mom and I both do.
¿Por qué no los dos?
¿Por qué no los dos? My mom and I do this thing where people will often just respond in English to people speaking Spanish because it's like, yeah, I get what you're saying and you probably get what I'm saying, but you don't want to hear me speak Spanish.
Yeah.
So like, because like my tata didn't like speak English very well, but he understood English, but he spoke Spanish. And my mom and I don't speak Spanish very well, but we understand it. So like, we communicated with my tata with like different languages. Mm-hmm. That's just like how we speak Spanish. We don't, you know.
But you were able to flame somebody successfully.
Yeah, he quit. I had 4 and 6, so that was good.
There we go. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, that's all for what's up for me.
Nice. I only have one other thing on here. Is I don't know if you saw, but the new Unreal Engine was demoed recently. Looks sick, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw the thing with like all the polygons, and they were like, this is tens of millions or billions or whatever of triangles. I was like, that looks amazing. I don't understand game engines like that. Like, it looks impressive, but I don't know why it's different, you know?
So I agree, but there was 2 things that really stuck out to me. Or there's 3 things that really stuck out to me. 1, looked really, really cool. But 2, as cool as that looked, stairs are still a problem. I don't know if you watched it, but when she goes up the stairs in that little demo, like, it is like surfing up the staircase. Like, she is not putting her feet on the stairs still. Which is funny because he was like, oh yeah, and there's like interactive events. Like, watch as she like goes past this door, she puts her hand on the door. And I was like, why can't you do that with the stairs? I mean, it's like a little thing, but I don't think I've ever played a game where they actually just like take the stairs. They're always like just putting their feet randomly in the stairs, just accept that means uphill. Like,
I think the one I can think of that got it best or most accurate was GTA 4. Not GTA 5, GTA 4. Like, he actually really, like, he even looks down at his feet when he's going up and down the stairs to, like...
Oh, really?
Correct.
Yeah. Dang, I did not.
That game is 12 years old. And then, like, her hand goes out to something when she moves. That was in one of the Tomb Raider games.
Yeah.
Like, 5-10 years ago was one of the big things that they were showing off, that she would, like, use her hand to find her place in the thing when she got... Anyway, whatever. So, anyway, it looked like a Tomb Raider demo, I guess. Like, the thing that
it really did. Which, I've never played any of the Tomb Raiders, but I really want to. They all look really cool. And I like the Tomb Raider mythos. Like, I think it'd be kind of cool to...
I've played several of them, and I don't really like any of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're not my kind of game.
Okay.
It's like, have you played Uncharted?
No. I don't know. I haven't owned a PlayStation since PlayStation 2.
Okay. Basically, Uncharted is the version of that I like. Uncharted is like the Rudy Tooty point and shooty version, and Tomb Raider is like exploration. I don't care so much about the exploration.
That makes sense.
At least the older ones, anyway.
But the other thing I noticed was, I feel like at some point we're gonna get so good at making backgrounds that it's gonna become painfully obvious that characters don't actually touch the background. Maybe there's a clip where she puts her hand out to touch something, and you can you can tell that she's not actually like touching the wall. Like the character model is like just like a millimeter away from like actually like looking like she's touching the wall. And I was like, wow, that really stands out for how good this looks. Like everything looks super good, but then those two things remind me like, oh yeah, by the way, we're still like, this is still a work in progress. Like technology is not solved yet.
Yeah. I wasn't looking at it that closely. I was just mostly looking at and I watched the Digital Foundry video about UE5, and they go in like way crazy technical detail about how everything is rendered and why it's so crazy, and I like goes over my head. But yeah, I just looked at it and was like, oh, it looks really great. I don't know. I wasn't like nitpicking.
Oh, I was just watching it, and there's like those are things that really stuck out. I mean, it looks amazing, and there's no way I could build anything even close to it. Like it's so cool. It's just it's fun to remember that like no matter how cool we have this stuff, it's like yeah, there's always going to be something to work on probably.
Yeah. Nope. You just said a minute ago, home games can do it better. Epic Games more like Epic Lames. Shots fired. We can't do anything like that.
No, I mean, we don't have.
I'm trying to draw circles still.
Yeah,
just to give some. We're at.
And I have no ability to help him because my math skills are poor.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
You ready to move on to Song of the Week?
Song of the Week. That's a yes.
Heck.
I keep doing that. I keep saying the name of the thing instead of saying yes or no. But I feel like me saying the name is kind of a yes, like it's implied, you know?
Yeah, and it also is a good lead-in. It's what I look for when I'm putting music in.
Yeah. Well, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you want to start?
Yeah, I listened to your Song of the Week from last week, Run For Your Life by Mako and like 3 other people.
Yeah.
Did not like that song.
Ooh, that's fine.
It sounded like, you know, that song We Found Love by Calvin Harris.
Yeah.
Or basically any song by Calvin Harris.
Yes.
It reminded me of that. I didn't like it.
I told you going into it, I was like, it's just some basic EDM nonsense. Like, it's kind of an older type of song. It's what I normally listen to now.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of those. It's just not my kind of music, so not a fan. But thank you for showing it to me. I do appreciate it. I'm not being a jerk. I just didn't like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. Like, I honestly, I don't expect you to like any of the songs I send to you because we have pretty different tastes in music. Yeah.
Did you like my Song of the Week last week?
I actually did. There's something about, like, it reminded me of the Juice WRLD song you sent to me.
This is Saint Laurent by Nav, by the way.
Yeah, Saint Laurent with a bunch of T's by Nav. I liked it. I don't know what it is. Like, I think I'm getting into that kind of hip hop. Maybe I don't know. It's different than most of the other hip hops I've listened to. Is there like a genre
most of the
to
other
this?
hip hops?
Yeah, any other hip hops that I've listened to.
Just witnessed for the first time a man go from 26 to 100 years old over the span of 5 seconds. Yeah, I suppose it is like a subgenre. It's like weirdo trap. It's like people say auto crooners. It's like people who have vocal effects and then just wah over the thing. And like Juice WRLD sang more than anything else, but it is a subgenre. I guess everything on some level, like everything that's popular in hip hop, sounds kind of similar today, and it's really just like a subdivision of trap, which is a subdivision of whatever. It's like how genres don't, it's very hard to define.
Well, yeah, I guess like when I wasn't asking like what is the specific genre, I meant like is there more to this? Like if you're gonna give me like if Juice WRLD and Nav are in the same grouping, who else is in the same grouping with them?
Like Travis Scott, or I mean, really anybody making popular hip hop today is probably in that group.
No, okay.
It's yeah, I don't know. It's like weird singing, like kind of this style that was popularized by Drake, like sing rapping, and then it's kind of just the evolution of that over the past decade or so of like adding more effects and adding more kind of oomph to everything. But it's really just sing rapping.
No, okay. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if this is like, because I didn't actually check to see how many listens that they had on Spotify, so I didn't know if they were like, this is like some indie underground hip hop, bro, or if this is like super popular, like really popular hip hop. Wasn't sure which one.
Yeah. No, Nav just sold like 130K his first week, which is crazy for his new album. And then Juice WRLD was massive. Like he had a song, it was like a Sting interpolation called Lucid Dreams that was massive on the radio for a really long time. So they're both very popular. You can do like the Spotify suggested artists when you go to either of them and probably find some good stuff. If you like that song, Nav for the most part keeps that vibe for pretty much everything he has. One of my other favorite songs by him is called oh damn it, what is it called? It's a song about a girl something. Anyway, I'll send it to you after this, but Nav's got some heaters, you know.
Nice.
Underrated in my opinion.
Hey. Yeah, I mean I like that style. Like you said a while ago, like I'm definitely like the kind of person who listens to music for the vibe of the music. Like sometimes I don't even listen to it for the words. Like it's just the feeling that it gives you.
If that is basically Nav's mission statement. So if you're looking for that, like his songs are for the most part not about much, you know.
Yeah.
But his voice sounds cool and the beat goes. So that's about it.
That's a good saying. The beat goes. It goes. I like it. I'm gonna add that to my repertoire.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Sorry. Like 6 weeks ago, I had a Benny the Butcher song as my song of the week, and then you listened to it. I forget what song it was, but it came on in the car, and I told Synovia that you liked that song after I showed it to you, and she just started laughing like at the idea of you even listening to Benny the Butcher, let alone liking it. But anyway, just if you start saying anything goes, you know, that'll be kind of another thing to add to the list of hilarious Yazid-isms.
I think it's like my mission to have the most ridiculous like regularly used vocabulary.
You're like the dad who says the lingo to make their kids stop using it. Like,
oh,
dad who intentionally says it wrong.
That one hurts. That one hurts.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I'm not trying to make it uncool. I'm just kind of lame.
That's okay. I'm also kind of lame though. That's kind of the beauty of us, you know. Neither of us are cool, but that's whatever. We just do us, you know.
Yeah. So what is your song of the week this week?
My song of the week, I had trouble because I want my song of the week to be only songs I listened to this week, and the only songs I listened to this week were the new Future album and the new Charlie XCX album.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't like anything really. I didn't love any song from either of them.
Oh.
And so I couldn't go back and like find another song and say it was my song of the week because I didn't listen to it this week. And you know, that's kind of my thing. So I took my favorite song from the new Future album called Trapped in the Sun, which is the intro song. And I said that's my song of the week. It's a good song. But if I had something else, I wouldn't have made that my song of the week.
Okay, I see. If you had to pick the worst song between those two albums,
oh man,
which would you pick?
See, that's the thing. Nothing was bad. Like the Charlie XCX song, X one was cool. I just don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's interesting music and it's not boring. I just thinking about listening to any of those songs again, I don't want to. And then Future, his whole album sounds like everything he's ever made. And he's got great songs. He's got a great discography. I love Future. But there, like, I was listening to that album when it came out, and I was like, you can hear the song before it even starts. Like, okay, the 808's gonna hit here. Yep. And it's like you're just like, you're hearing the song, and it's so like it's a formula at this point. That's a great example. If you want I mean, I'm talking about this album as if it's not a good thing. But if you want more examples of like music that just has a vibe and you don't really care so much about the words, listen to like March Madness by Future. That song is just pure energy and it's great. But this album, I was just like, okay, and something's gonna happen here, and he's gonna do something weird with his voice here, and you can see it coming, and I was just super disappointed. I listened to that album like 3 times, and I just can't love it like I want to. So that's where I'm at.
I'm so sorry.
No.
I actually couldn't pick between 2 songs this week because I listened to both of them really heavily. So I'm gonna go with the first one is "Old Friend" by Hoodlum. That's a song that you should listen to, like, and just appreciate. I really like that song. It's like understated. It's like muted in some parts, but I like the words have some punch to them if you listen to them, and like I don't know, I that song is just great to me all around. Like I really like it.
Appreciate because it's subtle, or because it's like, does it require attention to appreciate, or is it like?
I think that there's 2 levels to listening to that song. Like the top level is just like if you're listening to it for the vibe and it's like chill. It's just a chill song. But if you listen to the words, there's some like punch to some of the words. So there's like 2 levels to appreciate it. I think you would appreciate the words more than just the vibe, because I think it's a little slow for someone like, I think it's slow for like your taste in music.
Yeah.
But I really like that song. That song has been one of my favorite songs for a long time now. And then just it came on randomly on Spotify, and I have been just back at listening to it a bunch of times over and over and over again.
Cool.
And the other one is A Little Bit Wrong by Matty Noise, which is somewhat similar to last week's song. So I really don't think you're gonna like either of these, but it's that one is like the exact opposite. It's like high energy, like words don't really matter. It's more like a fun song. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm excited for the first one, not so much the second one, but I'll listen to them both, just for you.
Thank you. I hope you like Old Friend. I hope you like Old Friend. Old Friend is not about you also. I'm not sending you a message by that song or something like that.
I wasn't thinking that, but now that you've planted the idea, I do think you are doing
it. Don't take it like that.
Cool.
But yeah, those are my songs of the week, because I legitimately couldn't pick between the 2 of them.
Great. Well, you should listen to Trapped in the Sun by Future, but if you don't want to, don't, and maybe listen to some of his other fantastic songs. Like I said, March Madness is really great. You can listen to, he's got so many. Yeah, I don't know. Do March Madness over Trapped in the Sun. Trapped in the Sun is like late era Future, It's like, I don't know. It's like an absolute genre-changing musician coming through and doing the same thing he's always done again. You want to hear the good, like the prime stuff, not the like victory lap, which I feel like this album is.
Dang,
anyway.
That's actually like a great analogy. Then, if he like really did change music and like his previous albums were like on the cutting edge, then this one really is just a victory lap. That's well worded, man. Did you come up with that yourself, or?
Yeah, I'm a real wordsmith,
That's amazing.
I like how much of a fan of me you are. Like, Sophia says you're my hype man, but you really are. I just do anything. You're like, man, you're awesome. It's like the best friendship. I just make fun of you, and you're so nice. Yeah, I'll send you some future stuff. I gotta send you some more Juice WRLD stuff too. After you mentioned last week, I never sent you a list. Honestly, go to my playlist on Spotify and just like everything in the past 3 months, you can just basically shuffle.
What's your username on Spotify? I don't know.
I don't know my username, but my name is Joseph Garcia. You could go.
I mean, I don't think I can search for Joseph Garcia. I think I need your username. No?
I can send you my GOAT playlist.
Send me your GOAT playlist.
Yeah.
I'll listen to it.
There's many songs on there, but I'll send it to you right now. I'm gonna send it to you right now, Easy.
Hell yeah. Wait, don't send it to me right. No, yeah, you should be fine. This is the pop out, so they shouldn't be able to see. The message comes.
So there's a mix in there, but everything that I've added in the past like 3 months for the most part is just stuff like that. Anything by Juice WRLD, anything by Future, anything by Nav, all these people, anything by Travis Scott. Travis Scott makes incredible music. If you want to hear, this is totally off the rails at this point, but if you want to hear, like, in my opinion, some of the best, like one of the best songs to come out in the past like 10 years, it's called Oh My This Side by Travis Scott. Another one called 90210 by Travis Scott, both on the same album. Like, if you're trying to get into that stuff is like, in my opinion, the like top of the what you should get into, you know?
Okay. Anyway. I mean, it's like we talked about, I think, probably like a bunch of episodes ago, where I would really like to be able to be like, know a little bit about every genre and then have like my, like be able to listen to like almost any kind of music, but then have like the kinds of music that I really listen to. Yeah. And something that's always held me back was like, I've never really found, like, I've never really gotten into hip hop in the same way that you got into hip hop. And like, I used to be into rock, but I've like fallen away from that, but I can still listen to it a little bit. And then like same with metal. Country has been on the like outskirts the whole time. Like I've never been able, like I've never once listened to a country song and been like, yes, this is the sound I'm looking for. I don't vibe with it. I don't vibe with it.
I thought that for the longest time. Like, country is just such a weird, like, in my head, music is in one kind of like closely whatever, like, Venn diagram of things they have in common, and then country is like way outside of just things like subject matter I don't care about, the twang in the voice I don't care about. Everyone looks and sounds the same from my like very you know, like outsider whatever view. I cannot get into it, but I do like, I have one country song, on my whole playlist, and I believe I mentioned it before, but it's a song that's in the last episode of Breaking Bad. It's called El Paso by Marty Robbins. But that song slaps if you're trying to get into like a good country song.
I'm getting into hip hop right now. I can't. I wonder, you know, like the old like lineage breakdown of music where it's like blues and then like jazz and then like soul and all that stuff, and then eventually that splits into like rock and country, where like country follows like the blues path more, and then rock takes like a different path, and then everything like rap and everything like breaks out from rock.
Sure. I mean, I've never seen this before, but that makes sense.
I don't know. I think that's the way it breaks down, which is probably why country is like considered like, that's what I think a lot of people either are not into country or they're into country. Like, I think that's only like, I don't think there is a group of people who are like dip their toe in country but still listen to a lot of other stuff, if that makes sense. Yeah. Or at least I don't know anybody like that.
Young Thug has an album with some country inspiration called Beautiful Thugger Girls.
It didn't he have like the really famous, no, that's not Young Thug, that's Lil Nas.
Lil Nas X had that Old Town Road song.
Yes.
But like Young Thug, there's a song he has called Family Don't Matter, where you can listen to that, and he even does a country Billy and made a couple milli.
You sent me this song. I've listened to this song. I've listened to this song.
Yeah. It's a kind of country. It's not, but I mean, it's kind of country. I don't know.
All right. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
No. Just moving boxes and playing Gears of War. If you think you're good at Gears of War, hit me up, and I'll prove you wrong.
You can add him.
My name is on Xbox. I'm Dank Caliendo, but yeah, I mean whatever. Catch me talking trash in Spanish and all that.
Can you say something mean to me in Spanish?
Probably. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say anything mean to you in Spanish.
Well, I wouldn't know what it means.
Me neither. That's the problem.
What?
I don't know.
You just parrot off mean things to people.
No, because it's always like, I see that man has 4 kills and 6 deaths. I can say 4 and 6 in Spanish. I know like the typical like swear words, but I don't want to just call you, a bad word, because that's just basic. But anything beyond that, I'm at risk of messing it up. What am I gonna make fun of you for? Your hair. My hair sucks too.
Yeah.
So
Um.
next week, I'll get a real good one.
Yeah.
I'll end your whole career
Fine.
next week.
Please don't end my whole career. I'd like to continue living if that's at all possible.
You could live, but your career will be over for all intents and
You
purposes.
man's giving me permission to live, but not to work. All right, well, I guess next week I will be the last episode of Home Games for me. After that, I'll become a janitor. It's been nice knowing you all, or nice that you all got to know me. Do you have anything else, or are we going to wrap this one up?
No, that's all for me.
All right, everyone, thanks for listening to episode 30, and we'll catch you next week for episode 31.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.